Hey, hello, you all. I started the recording, so welcome to the Thursday tea gathering. If you're here live or watching the recording afterwards. Today, I want to continue kind of from the topic that we had last time, which was how to increase time and location freedom in your life and in your work. And inspired of that, and what we kind of touched on was how to set the boundaries. So first, knowing what you actually want, having the negotiation with yourself and the parties involved. For example, if you're employed or you have your own business, you have a partner, for example. What does it mean that you actually then get to enjoy the time and location freedom that you want? And therefore, we want to set boundaries. And I hear a lot about setting boundaries and how people have challenges with that. So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that. And of course, if you have some other questions as well, I'm going to support you with that here on Zoom or there in our Instagram Live. So type in those questions. So what are your burning questions where I can support you or where we can support each other? But yeah, without further ado, I would like to hear in the chat, like, what inspired to come to this gathering now that we are talking about boundaries, how to set them, how to make them last, and how they can support the kind of time and location freedom that you want. So want to hear from you as well. Welcome. There is more people joining, so let me just let you in the room. For our Instagram, there is a link in my bio, and you can just click that to join here to the live Zoom, I mean. So welcome to join us, Alan, as well. So let me go to the tips. I promised you 3 tips, and my best practice is how do I set boundaries that nurture the time freedom that I want to have in my life and in my business. They go very much hand in hand. So when I talk about life or business, I kind of mean them both, because as a solopreneur, I do intertwine my life and business quite a lot. And nowadays they are more connected than ever, I would say, especially now that we've been working a lot from home during the pandemic, finding different ways to work. This has been, I would say, a grace for me, because I support people from this part of the world to this part of the world. So I can then support others not tied to a location, but then what I need to consider in my work is the different time zones. First of all, where I am, and then where the clients are, and how can I support them, my clients who are in different time zones. But I'll get to that a little bit later. Like I mentioned, this is a Thursday tea gathering. I'm enjoying my Italian mocha, the coffee, so bring whatever a drink you want. It's 4 p.m. here, so I'm on my second coffee now. Yes. So about the boundaries, and yeah, like I mentioned, I hear this a lot from people, like how they find it challenging to set the boundaries, but that's not the hardest part. I would say the hardest part is to actually maintain and stick with that. if you've experienced, building traditions, it's easier to break them than to maintain them. So a kind of same goes for boundaries. Uh, I'm just gonna share an example about the tradition, because what I love to with my high school girlfriends, we had every summer we went to Hanna's cottage, and then this music festival that was happening during the summer in Finland. So we did that many years in a row, sometimes a little bit different crowd who was joining us, but oh man, I think we even had our 10-year anniversary with that tradition. So that's an example, like how to build a tradition and keep it up. So the same with boundaries, and this is more like on a day-to-day basis, especially in your work life, which we are discussing today. I'm bringing my practices from a point of view being an entrepreneur, a digital nomad traveling around the world. And like I said, I have clients in different time zones. These, of course, can be adjusted and applied to those who are working, let's say, international organization, and you have teams and team members around the world as well. My husband is one of those, so he has a lot of colleagues from India to Europe and US, for example. So I would say that that's very much like the richness in my life, to having had met like so many different people, experts from different fields, different cultures. So that's a pleasure to be helping everyone around the world. But like I said, the challenge becomes when I have people with, let's say that there can be 14 hours from one client to another. So I'm not keeping my calendar open for 14 hours. So first of all, my first tip is how to set lasting boundaries that support the time freedom you want to have, is knowing your worth, like really honoring yourself and respecting your time. It's so easy to let others to dictate how to use your time, especially I know I'm not the only one, I'm not the only coach who really wants to support a lot of people. So then the challenge becomes like when you want to be available for everyone all the time. Yes. So like I mentioned, that's the advantage, the privilege, but also the challenge at the same time. So how do you respect your time? And now I mean in a concrete level that it actually shows in your life. And this is like, how do you set the boundaries, for example, your working hours, or how you keep your, like my booking calendar open, where my clients are booking calls, where potential partners are booking calls, where I have like a million calendars. I have another one coming because I'm starting a new project next week and then with another business. So I have several different calendars, not only for my clients and different coaching sessions, but also for these partnership collaborations and their clients. So now I'm managing like 4 calendars and different booking appointments and everything like that. So first of all, it's only me. It's up to me to respect myself and my time and how I want to use it. How do I value that? Now I'm talking about just time, then it's also, for example, what is the compensation for the time that and effort what you're giving. So that's another thing, but we can talk about that another time. Now I want to focus on the time management and the time freedom, how to really cultivate that when the life is more connected than ever, it's busier than ever, it's changing all the time. So it's really easy to be distracted and, like I said, let others to choose how you're using your time. So that's why my number one is really like respect your own time. And valuing it is not a value if it doesn't show up in your life. If you're saying that I want to have more time for exercising, but you're not exercising, then you're not valuing that. So how does this time management show in your calendar? You can even start by tracking your time for a week, for example. What do you do? How do you use your time? I just read about I forgot what was the name of the book, but she was saying, for example, track for a week, and she noticed how much she used time for scrolling social media. And it's so easy to put those like 5, 10, 15 minutes, even half an hour to something that it kind of just like vanishes and you don't notice. Why I want you to notice how you use your time is that the time is the resource that we don't get back. It's running all the time, and I know you know this, but how well do you actually manage those hours in your day? I want to say hi again to the Instagram. Sorry, I'm trying to look about both cameras, so I'm seeing you. I'm seeing all of you. Okay, so that was the number one, really like valuing yourself and respecting your time. So the next thing is, like I mentioned, how does it show up in your day? So how do you manage your calendar or calendars, like in my case? Okay, let me let Shirley in. So how does it show up in my daily life? Like I said, when I have clients from around the world, they are in different time zones. So how can I put my calendar available so that people from India, like here from Pakistan, can join the call, and those who are in Europe, and then those who are in US to the Pacific coast. Now I have 9-hour difference. I had 9 hours, so it's very early for them when it's my afternoon and a late evening already in India. So it's up to me to decide, as a business owner, how I'm available. And if you have a team, if you're a leader and you manage a team, that you have team members in a lot of places, how do you manage, for example, that everyone would be available a couple hours during the day? So what would be those hours that the team members can actually connect and be available for each other? So yeah, how do you manage your calendar? And here's a lot of different booking systems, for example, to help with that, to automate that, so that the appointments come straight to one calendar that I have, for example, so then I can see everything at once. And like I mentioned, I have 2 other projects for other companies, so I'm putting those appointments to my everything is in my personal calendar so that I can see that. And then, of course, when I'm hosting this Thursday tea or my group coaching session, that's blocked away from the other calendars. So there's a lot of ways to manage your calendar, but I recommend having one place that you can have a view of your total week and your work day there. For me, I also use different time zones. So for example, in my Google Calendar, I have now, I'm in Italy, so the Central European time zone, and then I have Eastern time zone, like New York time zone. So that helps me to calculate, for example, the time differences to US or in Europe, and from there onwards. So let me know if you have questions about this calendar management. If you're confused, you want some more guidance around that. So I'm happy to help and share you mine. Like I mentioned already, one which is like the Google Calendar that I use, that's tied to my work account as well. Then I use Calendly for some bookings as well. I have Keep, which is one of my systems as well. So those are all connected to my Google Calendar. So that helps me to see everything and manage everything. I can't show now my phone is there on Instagram. So how does it look like? But that's the way I manage my meetings, my appointments, all the recurring events like this, and how it's connected to then other, let's say, for example, Zoom and the Zoom links and all that. So that is a spider web. And if you also have some good tips, I would be grateful for having those and hearing what are the best ways for you to manage your calendar. What I do also say is that instead of only like the work things, what I do have in my calendar is a reminder of the yoga breaks in the morning, my breakfast, focus time. I do have my mentoring calls and coaching calls where I'm being mentored as well. And of course, we do fly quite a bit with my husband. So we are traveling as nomads. So I have all my then flights or trains or whatever also connected to my calendar. So like I said, I recommend having everything in one place. My best business buddy, Melissa, is great with the time management, having raised 4 children. Now one is still living home, but she's great with the time management as well, and she has this kind of calendar as well where she has even like her lunch hours and everything booked. So we have a training together if you're interested in joining, seeing that's available online. So if you want a link to the training, I'm happy to help you and send you a link. So you can email me or drop me a DM. I'm happy to support you with that. Okay, so first of all was respecting yourself and your time, because that's something that we are not getting back. And so how do you want to manage your time? Second tip was really managing your calendar in a way that you have one place for everything, for your personal things, for your professional things, for your client appointments, for your partnerships, your even like whether it is driving or taking a train or traveling to different points. I even get our Airbnbs. My husband shares me the Airbnb, so I know that which country I'm at and which Airbnb and address we are living at the moment, because we do travel every 1 to 3 months. So that's always there a question like, which country, which currency, which time zone. So that helps me with that. And in the calendar, do use the different time zones if that helps you to support your clients in different time zones or your team members. So let me know if you have some questions or comments around these before I move forward. But let me see that if there's anyone. Okay, no one in the waiting room. So what comes to your mind, and do share if you have the best calendar tools that helps you with that. I do have some exercises as well that I support my clients with, and there we are looking at the ideal week, and then of course the priorities, the urgency of different projects and the importance of them. So there are these like matrix kind of tools. So happy to share you a link to book a call with me so we can see how you can actually add the time and location freedom that you would want to have in your life. Okay. So that's the tips that I have for now. And then, for example, sorry, is someone speaking? Okay, no, I thought I heard something. So how do you actually make these things last for a long time? How do you set the boundaries that you actually cultivate and maintain? And that's also checking in with you. How is it working? So when you set up the calendar and you choose, for example, for me, like my calendar is now open from my 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. That for my clients and everything. So okay. Oh no, I think I'm just trying to unmute you. Sorry about that. Yes. So what was I saying? Yeah. So how to really cultivate those and set the boundaries that they would actually last long. Because like I mentioned earlier, that it's easier to break than to actually maintain the boundaries. So this is a constant reflection. How is it working for you? So ask the question, because I can go and edit, and I do this all the time, depending whether we are in the US. I go set up my calendar in a different way than when we are actually staying in Europe, because of course that affects my daily routine and my clients where they are. So that's one way I reflect on what is working for me, and I keep editing the time that I'm available and what works for me. I'm a person who likes to sleep long in the morning. I'm an evening person for sure, so I don't mind like enjoying a slow morning, the daylight, go have a workout in the park and have breakfast before I start working in the afternoon. So that is like what I choose. So this comes back to the first thing, like respecting your time and how you want to use it. And then how it is in your calendar, and how to maintain that is like I said, asking the question over and over again, like, how is this working for me? How is this serving? What does the time flexibility look like for me now with this project or where I'm living now. Like I said, I keep changing my working hours depending whether I'm in Europe or US, for example, or when we lived in the Arab Emirates, I was always ahead of time, so I was doing my deep concentration work before I was meeting with clients, for example, and that was working very well for me. But so it's about really reflecting and adjusting. And I don't mean that if you're just staying in one place that you don't need to do adjustments. Of course, there's a lot of things that happen. For example, one of my clients last year, we started working and she got pregnant, and she was in a maternity leave, and then of course that changed a little bit the timeline, and the next kind of like steps in her career that we were discussing about. So yeah, life events do happen. So how do you keep adjusting that? And now, for example, she has many things in her day, working less hours, not that she's back to work, but she wanted to have studies and she's building her own business and a lot of other things. So this is back to the questions, knowing what you want and really respecting that. And then it's about making it work. The how comes after you have set like kind of clear targets on yourself and knowing what is it that you want, and then keep reflecting on that because they might change. And then of course, like when you know this, you can then adjust. For example, I'm starting in this new project next week, and we are very clear like on the what the client wants, and for them it's like, okay, I will be available 2 days, half a day, but I can choose which hours. So that's one example of the flexibility that I'm not willing to give up, for example, but I didn't even have to. That was like what they also offered. So it wasn't in conflict. So when you're reflecting on what is working, especially when there's other people involved, whether it is your dear family members, your clients, your team members, your boss, whoever, like have the negotiation again with them and remember to respect your boundaries and know like how much you're willing to be flexible, and are both parties being flexible or not, but this is important for you to kind of know that as well. Okay, how does these 3 tips and my practices, how I've been like setting boundaries to enjoy the time, freedom and flexibility in my work, how does these reflect what is coming up for you? Is there something that you want to start right away? Let me know in the chat. So first one was respecting your needs and your priorities. What is it that you want, and really like respecting them so you can set the boundaries based on that, and to stick with that, stick with those boundaries. And secondly was the calendar management. If you feel like you could use a better time management or calendar practices, you can shout or put your hand up. I know this is a challenge for many, so that's why I'm bringing it up, and I'm not perfect with that. Oh my God, like I said, like I've been challenged with all the different time zones and where I am and editing that, and this is an area where I get to be better. now that I got a new calendar with this new project. So I'm just wanting to make sure with the company that how to manage that in the best way possible, that we are not getting any misunderstandings or I'm not like confused when to be available or not. And then the third one was really reflecting and giving feedback, asking feedback from yourself and maybe others, if you want to ask feedback from others as well. How is this working for you? For example, we keep communicating with my husband what is working, and I kind of want to align my work days to his, not completely, because like I said, I have more projects here in Europe, whereas he's working US hours. But if we are not aligning our work day, it's also meaning that we are not really having time for each other. So for me, that is important to have that time together as well. So we keep communicating all the time, adjusting. We are asking like, oh, when do you have a break? Or when can we cook lunch together? How much time do you need? So we can just sit and watch Netflix in the evening, for example. So reflect with yourself and also those parties that are involved. So it's okay to also adjust your boundaries to set better for your life situation and circumstances, let's say. Okay, that's it for now for the Thursday tea. If there's no questions or comments around this, I shouldn't say that. Put any comments or questions if you're watching a replay. Do put them in below so I can support you with that later. And if you want this Thursday tea gathering to be another time that would suit you better, let me know, because this is just the time that I chose that, like I mentioned, like most from my network would be still awake or would be just waking up. So I'm also flexible with the time at the moment. Thank you for joining. Like I mentioned, this is a weekly gathering for business leaders to have more time, location, and financial freedom in your life. I do support experts like myself, coaches, consultants, creative professionals from different industries to pivot in their career if that's what you're looking at, or then how to launch and scale your business in 90 days so that you can enjoy what I call freedom lifestyle. What I've been enjoying in the past few years, and now I want to share my strategies and secrets for you to enjoy that freedom lifestyle as well. So adding more time, allocation, and financial flexibility so that you can have the control in your hands. How does that sound? I'm very excited for you and for myself to keep on this path to enjoying and cultivating the freedom lifestyle. I'll see you next week. Thank you again for joining. And those of you who I didn't meet today, hopefully I'll meet you live next week. So cheers and see you again.